Your 25 years of being in public affairs, what would you say your number one lesson learned is?
Go ahead and sit down. There's not just one. There's a million. I think if I had to pick one thing, it would be that you can't be too hard on yourself, because this job's going to kick you in the teeth every day. Every day you're going to get up and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to screw up. One of the reasons I was so excited to take this job with Secretary Kerry was because it was so different in just about every way. And we brief every day. As I said, press conferences are daily. And so every day I have multiple opportunities to screw up. And I think that's great. I mean, I don't like go to the job wanting to fail. It's not like, I'm excited to go up there and say something stupid, but the fact that every day pushes me and tests me and challenges me and forces me, I really appreciate that. And so you can't live in that world, though, if you take yourself so seriously and you are so risk averse and you just don't want to screw up, because mistakes, that's how you learn. And when I came up young, like all of you, we talked about this before, type A personalities. Being in the military, well, you talk about a meritocracy. This is it. The military doesn't care at all where you came from, what church you go to. They want performance. And your fitness reports, or I don't know what you call them in the other services, but your evaluations, that's how you get advanced. Your experiences and how well you do in the jobs. And so it's very competitive. And because it's so competitive, man, we're all charging every day. And nobody wants to screw up. Because, look, I mean, some mistakes are graver than others, and they could end up in somebody getting hurt, and we don't want to do that. So it's a valuable thing, but as a communicator, there's no such thing as a failure-free day. So you have to be able to absorb those blows, and I wasn't very good at that. I would, every single time I made a mistake, I blew it up in my mind more than it needed to be, and instead of taking a dispassionate sort of view of things. You have to be able to separate yourself from yourself, if that makes any sense. I still, though I cringe to do it, I still try to watch at least a portion of my press conferences, after I'm done, just to now it doesn't necessarily matter if I do, because my wife and my mom do, and I get lots of feedback. Within the hour of every press conference, I get an email from Mom, and she watches them live every day on the web. And my wife tries to watch them, and if she doesn't, she goes back later and watches. But when I get so an hour after I get off the podium, I get a long screed of how I screwed up from Mom, and then when I get home, and sitting around the dinner table with my wife Donna, then I get it all again, and they catch different things, and it's okay. You just have to separate yourself. There's but this actually brings up another point that I really want to make, and it's not about mistake that I made, but it's a really, really key important point that I hope you take away. There's a sign on my door that Donna bought for me that I've kept on my door now for several years, and it says, "I don't necessarily agree with everything I say." It's a great motto for a spokesman. Your job is not necessarily to agree with everything you have to say, okay? You've got to stay dispassionate not only about yourself, but about your command and about the institution. One of my 13 rules says, be skeptical. You've got to be willing and able to raise your hand in a room and tell your boss, this is wrong. You can't do that, or you can't say that, or we shouldn't go there and do that. And here's why. Because you're going to have a sense of what's out there in the information environment that he or she may not have. You got to bring that to them Now, they may still override you. I lost lots of arguments, but you got to keep trying. You have to stay safe. Sometimes the best way to protect an institution is not to try to protect the institution. In other words, and I'm not saying, throw it under the bus. I'm just saying, make your case, and then, they make their decision, and and then let the chips fall where they may. Don't get so wrapped up in it. One of the mistakes I see a lot of junior PAOs make is, because you are writing the comm points, and oftentimes you're writing the speech for your boss, when we commit to writing words, we love our words. They're wonderful. They're the most beautiful thing since Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence. And I'm not going to change a single verb, and I'm not going to move a single comma, because it's gold, right? Well, it ain't gold. And if you fall in love with your messages, your themes and messages, you're going to lose the opportunity to stay objective. And that's what I want you to do. Separate yourself. Don't allow your personal views, whatever they are. And you're entitled to them. Everybody's entitled to them. But don't let them color the way you do your job. Stay aloof from it. But I always tried to do that in other aspects of my life too. Because if dispassionate is a good way of putting it. If you can't stay dispassionate, if you get too attached to it, and I've seen this happen. A lot of junior PAOs, they, when you meet them at a party or a reception or something, they start selling you. I would ask a young lieutenant, now, how's it going at USS whatever or whatever base you're, and then they start giving me the pitch. Wow, we're working in the community and we're spending, and I don't want to hear that. I want to, how's your ball team doing? How's your kids doing? But they get too attached to it, and this shows up sometimes on social media, where it disturbed me when I became the CHINFO. I'm one of those guys that's a lurker, and I don't post anything. I just watch. And I was concerned when I started looking at the posts of some of the junior officers in our community, at some of the things they were posting on their Facebook pages, whether it was political or religious views. Now, again, I'm not suggesting that you can't have views. I'm not even suggesting that you can't express your views. You're an American citizen, you pay taxes, and you have a right to do that. I'm just saying that I ask you to be mindful that some people out there won't be able to separate you, the Buccaneers fan, yes, I'm a Buccaneers fan, from you, the spokesman for the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. Okay? So just be mindful of that. Again, I'm not telling you what not to do or what to post, but just be careful. So stay dispassionate. And again, even about yourself. Be willing to take a hard look at yourself and how you're doing. Every day when I drive home, I ask myself 3 questions. What am I doing? What am I not doing? And how do I make up the difference? And the answers to 1 and 2 are usually pretty easy. You know what you've done well, where you are. And then you also, again, if you're able to stay dispassionate, you have a pretty good idea of what you did wrong and mistakes you made. The hard question to answer is, how do I make up that difference? How do I bridge that gap? And if you're trying every day, you'll do well. It's a long answer, but it was a great question.